accused of sexual misconduct, so
Oh,
it
okay.
really shook our community hard
Yeah, that's
because there is a lot
unfortunate.
of sexual harassment and assault in our community, even though it's hidden.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I could see
yeah,
why.
so it's pretty
People are
bad.
gonna take advantage of
Yeah, because you got new
their
people coming
position.
in,
Yeah.
and yeah, so and whatever. So
Okay, so now, what is your name and where are you from?
is it recorded
Yeah, it's
already?
recorded. Yeah.
Peace. My name is Rokafella, Bigo Rokafella from the Bronx. It is December 28th, holiday season, but it's COVID, so it's
Yes.
really isolated.
Yes,
But
it
I'm
is.
here back in
Yeah.
Washington Square Park after
Yes.
being here practically all summer
Uh huh.
on those Saturday and Sunday parties,
Uh
which
huh.
is packed with people,
Yeah.
of course, with their masks
Uh
on.
huh.
We're dancing, we're practicing social distance.
Uh huh.
But yeah, back in Washington Square Park.
Now, speaking of dancing and partying, what are you doing for New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, I have a feeling I'm gonna be home.
Are you
Probably,
gonna be in?
yes, in probably connecting to
Okay.
a Zoom or a Twitch.
Really?
Yeah, there are gonna be quite a few DJs playing music, so I'll be having a drink, watching the ball drop from my house,
Yeah.
which is so rare. You know,
Uh-huh.
usually we go out. We go out, we party, we dance, we break.
Yeah.
There's usually a house music party somewhere in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh. I think
But
it's gonna be raining this year.
oh man, you're
I looked
right.
at the weather report. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, so yeah.
No partying this year.
No, no partying, but we've done it. We've lived it, and so we're
Yeah.
taking a break, trying to be safe. But you know, the party ain't over. Like it
Uh-huh.
continues in our hearts, and we're waiting for the lifting of these strict guidelines, and then we'll be back to dancing, back to cutting the rug.
And that's actually one of the questions that I ask people. What are you gonna do when the pandemic ends?
Slowly get back to my normal routine. I never wanted to be teaching dance online, but I'm doing it. I'm pretty good at it, actually. But it's not what I want. It's not our culture. Our tradition is to come together, to dance, look each other in the eye, to sweat, feel good. And for that moment when you're dancing, all your problems are gone. You're in community. You know, there's a call and response, you know, with the other dancers, the people standing in the circle around you.
Yeah.
So I will slowly make my way back, integrating into this dance world, the way we know it, the way it's been done. So can't wait, but of course we got to be safe, and we
Yeah.
have to be kind of catering. Oh, sorry, noise. When we go back, we have to kind of meet people where they are, because some of our dancers are still skeptical. So many of them have lost people to COVID, so we have to be respectful of people's threshold for jumping back in. But for those of us who are ready, we'll be here and open arms, ready for people to come back to the dance, back to the fire, you know.
Now, my understanding of the dancing community is a lot of people come from out of town to become dancers. So what happens to those people when something like COVID hits?
Well, I think what happened to the dancers who were here is that they've kind of felt trapped. They had to stay. Some of them have overstayed their visas. Some of them, you know, where do they work? How are they paying rent? So it has been an impact on our international community, our global dance family, who was probably planning to come through, had their flights already paid, but there was a big pause. So yeah, it's been kind of difficult. But you know, we're dancing online. Some studios have offered a hybrid, like I teach hybrid dance classes at Perry Dance. So, you know, we're socially distanced, 6 feet apart, you know. There's all these parameters now where there were never parameters, the no rules, just get down. So I do feel like our dancers who are from out of town who are here have felt like they, you know, there's a big restriction. And then the ones who were coming couldn't make it. And for us here who are you know, in the birthplace when it comes to hip hop or house, we have been trying to cope, trying to be safe, be healthy, vitamin C, garlic, you know, black seed oil, you know, zinc. We've been doing our best to stay healthy and be aware who are we around and trying to be careful, you know. It's been a weird turnaround.
Now, let me ask you this. You're someone who has a lot of dancing experience.
Lots.
What
Yep.
kind of advice do you have for people who are young, who are just trying to start out as a dancer?
So my advice to people who are starting to step into a dance field, a dance career, whatever the style is to take your time, right? There's no rush. There really is no shortcut. But to try to figure out who was here before you, try to see what the history is, who are the influences. So like, let's say for breaking, right? When I work with young people, I try to let them know that there were all these influences that make up breaking, that make up hip hop. So of course you have like African dance, right? Tap, Lindy Hop, salsa. But you also have capoeira, you have Bruce Lee, you have gymnastics, right? And those are things that are not evident, right? When you look on the surface, you don't see that. But in the 70s, like someone like Bruce Lee, super influential, right? All those kung fu movies. Something like capoeira, which is from like South America, right? Really detached from our experience, total influence. So it's just important, and that's just one dance, breaking. Can you imagine all the other styles? So it's important for you as a young person or a new person stepping into anything that has like huge legacies to find out who came before you, what was their struggle, where are we at now? What are you gonna contribute once you get amazing, once you become like phenomenal and prominent? What are you putting back to the table after you've gotten something from the table for yourself? So it's like a circle, right? It's cyclical. And if you go to any ancient tribe or any like traditional folklore type dance, there's always this like respect, right, for what happened before. So that's what I would tell anybody who's trying to step into a dance field, a dance style. And something like hip hop has two lanes, right? There's commercial, and then there's a community, there's a culture. So you kind of want to like intersect both. You don't just want to be Hollywood and mainstream. You don't just want to be underground and a purist. You want to be a little bit of both. So it's a lifetime. I'm still doing it. I'm 49 and I'm still rocking, and I'm in the Bronx, and I have a sense of longevity, resilience. So, you know, that's what I can say, y'all.
Now, breakdancing has its roots in, like, I would say the 70s, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of died out after that.
Yeah, it did.
What is the state of breakdancing right now? Where is it going?
Ooh, breaking has had like a roller coaster ride type of, you know, chronicle, right? Chronology. But in the 70s is when it really started to pick up. In the 80s, you know, the cameras came and there was like this huge like unleashing, right, of media and content everywhere, movies, commercials, and then, you know,
Breaking crews as well.
a lot of breaking crews. Like it wasn't just one or two, there were hundreds. And popping, so a lot of people think like breaking and popping is the same. They're not. They're two different styles. Popping and locking's from California, breaking's from here, and up rocking. And so, you know, everything that kind of is like emerging is usually exploited because it's like, oh, I want a piece of that, I want a piece of that, I can use that. But then it kind of was, you know, overexposed, and then it went back underground. And the international world, they still kept it, they still loved it. And so in the 90s, there was a resurgence, there was a rebirth, and, you know, it was really about trying to maintain and preserve it so that it doesn't fade away, because it was such a rich culture, a rich dance. As I said, so many of these influences, you know. So at the turn of the century, right, in 2000s, you got these America's Best Dance crews, you got your So You Think You Can Dance, you know, you have all this
Dancing
like
with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars, although they don't really break. Not too many stars. I mean, there are some stars. I'm sure you've seen some actors that, like, when they get a Grammy, they do a 90, or they do some, maybe some rappers do some windmills. But Dancing with the Stars is mostly ballroom. It's not too much street and club, you know. But at this point where we are with breaking, it is a national, is it an international phenomenon? People are breaking in other countries who don't even speak English. There is breaking happening in places where there's no dance studio. It's like, you know, out in the plaza, out in the dirt, out in the sand, you know. So breaking is here to stay. It is global. And like I said, there's these two lanes for a breaker. Even though there's so many possibilities for breakers now, women, men, so many lanes that have branched out. So the opportunities are endless. It's up to you. What is your vision, your dream? But at this point, like, breaking is a viable career, a path, you know, for artistic expression. So we're in a good place. It's just now with the onset of this announcement about the Olympics in 2024, including breaking, you know, we really have to think, like, how do we show up? What is breaking gonna look like at something like the Olympics? Like, you know, how do we preserve the culture but push forward digitally, right? So we are in a crossroads. You know, we've come this far. And so hopefully the right people, right, will be in those meetings to decide how it is formatted, how it's scored, who gets to judge, who gets to commentate. There's a lot of great things coming, and I think 2021 is going to be amazing. Amazing for everyone, for everyone.
I think there's also a lot of huge potential for breaking, especially on TikTok, because nowadays TikTok is like the main thing, and they do 1 minute videos.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty much an excellent opportunity to expose the breaking culture, because TikTok is mostly dancing anyway.
Right.
So for someone to use TikTok to bring it back, I think it's actually an excellent opportunity.
Yeah, I don't see how, breakers wouldn't try to, capitalize on something like TikTok or Reels. I think it's content. It's a way to express and broadcast your own talent. But the real deal is like how much are you investing into breaking? Besides the TikTok and the 1 minute thing, what else are you bringing to the table? And that's where a lot of people get trapped, because what else is there? When the music's not playing, what are you saying? What are you bringing? What are you offering? So, there has to be like an extension of the TikTok or the Instagram into, reality, into cultural working, into connecting your ancestors with that. So yeah, I don't see how, why a person wouldn't want to be on TikTok and use breaking and showcase it. But we have to know that there is life beyond the digital box, so yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you this. When you talk, you look right into the camera. Did you have any special kind of training for that? Are you a content creator yourself? Because a lot of people, they don't, if they're not used to it, they're gonna look at the person instead of the camera.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had a lot of experience talking into a camera, being interviewed, making my own film about B-girls, women in breaking. I have been interviewed often, about what's it like being a woman in hip hop, So at this age, I'm 49, like I'm pretty comfortable in front of a camera, and I know how to describe and define what I do, why I do it, and how to pull in people so that they feel like this is a comfortable space to explore, experiment. I want to share, what I have and make you feel like you can do it too. So I've been around for a little bit. I may not look like a 49-year-old, but breaking is like the fountain of youth. And I think art connects you to young people in a way where you're exchanging good energy.
Yeah.
So I feel like, mediums like camera or canvas, or it's another way for a soul, right? A soul and a heart to connect and be embraced and be supported. And let's face it, life is hard. Life is hard. So it's great when you have an artistic outlet.
Now, you said dancing keeps you young. Where do you think you would be if it wasn't for dancing?
I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Yes. Dancing keeps you young.
Yes.
Where would you be if it wasn't for dancing? Would that just be like a huge hole?
That's like a big, that's a big question. When I was first growing up in the Bronx in New York City, I still rep for the Bronx.
Represent.
Right? Yeah. I wasn't sure which path I was going to take. In my family, which is, Puerto Rican, there's a lot of dance, a lot of people bringing instruments for like Christmas, right, which just passed. And so music was always around me. When I stepped outside, it was like an African-American community. So then there was Motown, James Brown. I was immersed in two different ways to express myself. I wasn't sure that dance was going to be my go-to, but it started to reveal itself as I got older. And so without dance, I don't think I would be as comfortable in my skin, walking around, stepping into any business or board meeting, because dance makes you feel like anything you do is correct, as long as you're on beat. So I think that dance helps many people who may be shy or unsure to feel like I can do this. So I think without dance, I probably would have been shy or not where I'm at today. I really do feel like dance helped me to venture into other things, because once I did good with dance, somebody would say, hey, can you try this photo shoot I have, or can you maybe come and speak to my students, be a guest lecturer. So dance kept opening doors for me. So that's a great question to ask, because it makes me ponder and think what would have happened you know. And when I first stepped into the dance club world, I was 17. I had a fake ID, and I'll be honest, I ran into bad company, and I quickly saw how I could be trapped and I could be smothered and crushed. So I had to pick myself up and start again. So dance was the one thing I knew that even if people had tried to hurt my feelings, I could always go back to. I could always jump in a circle, go to a party, choreograph something. So thank God, for the dance in my life, because it's easy to fall and not get back up. It's so easy, especially in New York City. There's so many people here.
The flexibility definitely helps as well. I heard that people who are more flexible are less likely to be injured. Is that true?
I think flexibility is a great thing. I think conditioning, though, getting stronger, eating like really good nutritious food, sleeping properly. There's a lot of things that help you as a dancer to not get injured, but also, not being so arrogant. I've got a lot of injuries because sometimes when I was younger, I just wanted to jump in and prove myself. But you gotta wait. Your time will come. And if you haven't slept, if you're not eating the right foods, and let's say you drank, right? If you drank a lot of alcohol and someone says do something, you might hurt your thumb, you might sprain your ankle because you're under an influence and something is kind of clouding your judgment. So yeah, flexibility is great, but I think if you really, really are a dancer, you watch what you eat, you watch how you sleep, the company you keep. So it's important.
No booze, no drugs.
Right. I mean, and even if you do it, you can't. If you drink or smoke, just try not to then run and do something, because you might make a mistake and you may not recover. Like that knee may be blasted. You may have to go get an ACL surgery, and that could be the end, right? I mean, we don't.
It's
you
almost
can always
like being an athlete.
I think it is like being an athlete. Being a dancer is like being an athlete, and the more serious you get about it, you got to pull away from certain, hangouts and certain circles of friends because they're not doing what you do. And so, they wake up tomorrow and they go to an office. You wake up and you got to go sweat. You got to go work on your ligaments, So it's knowing when and where and how to enjoy yourself.
Now, I have two kinds of questions. One kind of question is general questions. The other kind is dating questions.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Do you want to get into the dating questions?
Well, I'm married, but yes, let's do it.
Well, I mean,
let's do it. Right?
It's a lot of stuff that you can teach people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you are married, you have that experience
right.
that you can share with the world. Now, before I go on, you can just skip anything that you would want to skip.
Okay.
Now, first impressions, how important are they? Because one of the things that I hear from people is that, let's say like a guy, right? He asks a girl out. A lot of times that girl will say no the first time, or the woman will say no. And then he has to like try again, like the second time or third time. So my question is, how important are first impressions? And why is it that some women turn guys down the first time, but then maybe give them a second chance and the third chance or whatever it is?
Yeah, I think when it comes to dating, that first impression is super important because it's like I come to a conclusion quickly based on what I'm seeing. So, if a person is loud, if they're sloppy, if they're a bully, if they're mean.
Using vulgar language.
Right, like if they're using really vulgar language, it's a peek, it's a glance into what that world is for that person and how they've designed their world. And so do I want to step in there? Do I want to be subjected to this type of energy? Probably not. And so if it's someone who's kind of solid in the way they carry themselves, they are, sensitive, trying not to be too crazy, then maybe, but I have to explore. I have to be exposed a little bit more to this person. So I might say no because there's like a sense of caution and I'm not sure. So maybe I'll say yes the second time if there's another chance to check out this person and how they are conducting themselves and how they live, So maybe no on the first time, yes on the second. But even that, when I go on the date, it's more exploration. I'm trying to see what this person's about. What's their ideology? What's their politics? Because if certain things don't connect, then we're gonna be arguing. And so rather than go into conflict, I'll just say, hey, this was nice, and maybe we'll stay friends.
All right, let me ask you this. You're married, right?
I am.
How did it all start? From the beginning to the end.
Oh my goodness. So when I first met Quickstep, right, on Rokafella Quickstep, we were dancing on the street for money. He was part of one crew, I was part of another. I had my boyfriend in my crew, he had his girlfriend, and we would talk. But we weren't like, I want to be your girlfriend, right? Because we were spoken for. But every time we would meet, there was like another revelation of his personality, and I, of course, would share, things about how I, saw the world. And we started to see that certain perspectives that each of us had lined up. And so when the time came 2 years later that we ran into each other and he did not have a girlfriend and I did not have a boyfriend, we thought, okay, well, let's meet up for hot chocolate. Let's meet up after this jam and talk and get to know each other a little bit more. And it was in those meetups and those dates that we felt like, this could work. But because we were both coming out of such really bad relationships, meaning we were there was trauma, we didn't want to pressure each other like, I want you to be my man or you're going to be my woman. We kind of were like, okay, let's be sensitive, and I don't want to pressure you like you're going to be my woman. We'll just take it as it comes, and if we help each other heal and decide that we want to move on, that's fine too. So that was one thing we said to each other, like, if this doesn't work out or if we're just like the rebound, relationship, okay, so be it. We're mature enough and I don't want to bring baggage onto you. And he don't want, so it was pretty good. And that was back in 94. We met in 91. And then we started to be boyfriend, girlfriend. A year later, I moved into his apartment and we started to dance together. We formed a dance company, a dance crew. We've had our ups and downs regarding like power dynamics, like who has the authority, who, is the person that says what gets done, where we go. So there was some of that we had to figure out. He's Latino, I'm a Latina, so there was a lot of this machismo thing we had to work against, and through. But in the end, we just didn't want to lose the connection because it's so hard to meet someone that has similar philosophies, similar ideas. So, we just felt like that was more important than being the one in charge, or the one that scored the point. Who's smarter? So that's kind of what has balanced us out. Plus, we carry this culture. He's Quickstep, I'm Rokafella. We carry a responsibility to our community. So that sometimes was more important than being angry at each other. And we have broke up. We broke up twice in our 27-year history, but we always came back. We always came back because this was a bond that actually helped so many other people. So, yeah.
So you withstood the test of time.
We have, and being in a relationship with another artist is difficult because you have to see that person be consumed by their art, and everything is them, and you're kind of like, well, I'm an artist too. What about me? Or hey, I have dreams too. How about you support me? How about you, bring it this way? And yet, as time passed, we saw that it's ebb and flow. And so there may be moments where I have to support and be the administrative or be the assistant for him. And at that moment, there's nothing really happening for me. So, it's okay. Let me go with this. Because then when it's my time to shine, so it's like ebb and flow, the sun and the moon, And so we decided that is the way to survive it, is to know that there are going to be times when that person shines and I take the secondary role. And there's times when I rise and he's going to take the supportive role. So it's been 27 years and we finally, are understanding it, but it definitely wasn't easy.
Congratulations.
Not easy.
Now, I interview a lot of people and they say that marriage is irrelevant and it's outdated and that you don't need that anymore.
Okay.
What kind of response would you have to those people? A lot of them are really young as well.
Right. I can see how many people feel like marriage doesn't work anymore. Like it's something that has, it's just run its course, and that it was pretty much a business, or trying to figure out who is fathering who kids, what kids. But, we're in a society now where gender is irrelevant and a lot of things are irrelevant that used to be so important. But for me, marriage just stabilized me. And so I didn't have to, deal with the pressures of constantly dating and finding a mate and trying to have sex and trying to have kids. And marriage just kind of settled those questions, and then I could go out and do whatever else I needed to do and always come back to this base, I don't know. For me, marriage worked. I get it. Marriage doesn't work for a lot of people. And that's them. And to each his own. And I don't think we need to like crumble everything. I think some things can stand, and some things need adjusting and shifting and like an update, an upgrade. So I'm pretty open, and I just let people do what's best for them. But there's a lot of maturing and deprogramming that we have to do regarding how society functions. So we have to look at all of it, not just this one thing and destroy it, but look at the entire society and how it's been functioning on this very hostile, destructive type of like paradigm. It's always like, who can you destroy? Who can you humiliate? Who can you step on to get yours? And so a lot of that has to change. So I get it.
Now, let's go back to the dating questions again. How important is it the way a man dresses? Does he have to like present himself like in a certain way in order for a woman to see him a certain way, or do you think that's not important? I mean, let's go back.
Yeah. I think when I first saw who was to become my husband, I was impressed by how he looked. He was clean. We were dancing on the street. So after you dance on the street, me included, you get dirty. You get dirty because that's just the street. It's dirty, right? And so we kind of don't judge each other on cleanliness because we know it's part of the work, like a construction worker or someone who works in the sewers, right? You accept that it comes with the territory. Your hands gonna be dirty, your clothes kind of dingy. But this person that I saw always had to change the clothes. So he had 2 and 3 shirts. He had gloves that he could put on, fingerless gloves, He was clean, so he wanted to present this aura of cleanliness to the tourists and to whoever was gathering to put money in the bucket. And so I get it. It was about showmanship. It was about presentation. And for me, at that point in my life, I didn't care. I was like, just see the moves. Put the money in the bucket. Who cares what I look like? And so, yeah, I was impressed by the way he looked. After, when we would date, we would hang out, I was impressed that, yeah, everything was clean. And he was matching, or he was wearing something that was eye-catching. And so, yeah, I think it's important. But more than anything, it's in the eyes. I could be attracted to people who weren't considered good-looking, considered popular. But there was a vibration in the eyes that I was so attracted to. And it's like a fire. It's like
So even if he was wearing clothes that were out of style, it wouldn't matter to you?
At that point,
he was wearing all Kmart, Walmart clothes?
Yeah, I think at that point where I had been through so much, like, I was homeless. I had dealt with a lot of stuff in my my upbringing, sexual violence and just a lot of betrayal and deception. I wasn't really trying to go for someone who was like, the GQ, because there was so much deception. Like in my family, people who look nice beat up people who they loved, So
you saw through that early on?
I did, because I was trying to figure out, like, why is he beating up my aunt? Why does he do that? Why does he put my aunt through so much? And yet he had a nice car and he looked so good, right? So even at an early age, some things didn't make sense, and I didn't look like this as a young girl. I didn't have my look together either. And I was judged and people called me ugly. And, so as I was getting older, I was like, okay, I'm not going to fall for this deceptive facade. I want to meet someone who's like me, and who's just honest and balanced. And it took me a while. And when I met my who would be my husband in '91, I was ready. I was like, this is the person. But we had to speak. We had to talk. There had to be some like outpouring of, the internals before I could say, yeah, I want to spend more time with you. I want to see more of you. So, but yeah.
Now, how long, going back to your dating days, how long did it usually take for you to like someone or to know you like someone? Is it something instantaneous, or is it something that took a while? Because there's some people who would like to see the man in a different setting before she can say, oh yeah, I think I might like him.
I think when I was dating, I could tell pretty quickly. Yeah, I could tell pretty quickly. Like if this person was, open-minded, if this person was funny, if this person had a particular perspective on things. I was a pretty good judge of character. As I said, like, things in my hood and in my family were kind of hectic. So I was sharp, and so I was a pretty good judge of character. Now I will say when I was dancing on the street, a lot of things happened to me, so I had to pick up the red flags.
Forced you to grow up.
It really did. And so I think that when you grow up in a hostile environment, you are sharp. You're sharpened by the violence, and the abuse. Sometimes people give up or sometimes get crushed by being abused. I had a choice and I decided to just wise up. Just wise up and figure out, okay, this person's not good for me. This one's trying to con me out of my money. This one wants to have sex with me, but they don't give a shit about me, So, and then drinking, right, kind of lowers your judgment. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're easily tricked. So I also didn't want to drink as much. I didn't want to smoke as much. So I think that I knew if a person was friendly and open-minded and I want to hang out with them. But again, I just needed to confirm my quick observations by dating and, like you said, being around them in different settings. See how they're like with their dog. What are they like with their cousins? How do they feel about old people? Things like that.
So would you recommend to the younger people to date a lot in order to get that experience? Because if you don't date and you just sit at home,
right,
you're never going to really learn about how to communicate with people, how to interact with people, or what you like and what you don't like. I mean, I talked to somebody before and I said, if you never tried vanilla ice cream, how would you know you liked it?
It's so
and
true.
you're always eating chocolate ice cream, how would you know?
It's so true. No, I think if you're a young person, it's important to date. I think set your boundaries though. Like, even though you're going out with this person, just say from the start, like, I really don't want to go to bed with you. Just want to find out. I think you're fun, and let's get to know each other. You have to really set your boundaries nowadays, especially because people just believe that because they're with you on a date, that's it. Sex is guaranteed. And I think that if that's not where your heart is at, if that's not what you intend to do, then go out and set the boundaries, but go out with people and find out, because there's so many different kinds of people. And if you limit yourself to just who's on the block, who's at my job, who's at church, you're not really getting a full scope of what's out here. And there is so much out here. But of course, be safe, protect your heart.
Now, you're married to someone within your subculture,
Yes.
within your little social circles, and maybe you've dated people within that social circle as well.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this scenario? The fact that you've got nothing to do with his lifestyle, you do completely different things. Let's say he was an engineer or something, or a teacher, someone that was very different. Do you think that opposites can attract? Do you think that they can only date and then live completely separate lifestyles with different friends? Because a lot of women will say, oh yeah, if I'm going to date a guy, he has to accept my friends and hang out with my friends and accept their lifestyle. But a lot of guys ain't trying to do that.
Right. No, I know. I actually did date. Like I said, we broke up twice. And within that time, I did try to date. But I tried to date outside of the breaking community because you want to shit where you sleep. So I did go out with a lawyer. I did go out with someone who worked for the MTA. I tried to go out and expand. I went out with a lighting designer. Just so that I could see, also, how do I show up? How do I measure up with people who don't do what I do, who don't know how amazing I am, you know what I'm saying, on the dance floor? And it was good. It was so good. However, did I want to give up my lifestyle and my schedule? No. And so some of these people would say, okay, well, when I get home from work, I would love dinner to be on the table. And I'd be like, well, when do you get home from work? Because that's when I'm at rehearsal. That's when I'm teaching a class, my life starts up at 4 p.m. to about 11, right? As a dancer, rehearsals, classes, traveling. Sometimes I'm going to travel. And so I didn't want to give up my schedule or my lifestyle because that's my livelihood. And this person then also didn't want to deal with what I do. And so that caused kind of the breakup. I was already kind of set in my ways. So as you get older, it's a little bit harder to date because you have a lot more to sacrifice. However, it can work. It can work. If this person had said to me, well, you don't have to work so hard because I'm going to take care of you and we can move into this house and you can ease up a little bit. And now you can really say no to certain jobs because financially I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to help. I'm going to be on the team. That would have been different. But we didn't date that far and we didn't have that bond, that connection. So, you know, you can date people who have a different career path, but that commitment has to really be there, that you're going to help each other live better, right? I'm gonna make your life more pleasant, not worse. I don't want to pressure you, but I want to help you enjoy life, and vice versa.
Now, before I forget, let
Oh
me
my God,
ask
what
you.
time is it?
We're 35 minutes in, 4:49.
4:49.
How much more time do you want us?
Well, I gotta head up.
Okay.
I do have to head
Now,
up.
before I
box.
forget, where can people find you online?
I have an Instagram. It's Bgirl Rokafella, BGIRL ROKAFELLA, and that's my busiest platform. I do have a Facebook, and I do have a website, and I have a company website. But if you reach me there, I'll write back, and you know, I'm pretty active on there. I've taken a break now for the holidays because it was just a lot, you know, and I need to step away sometimes because it's a lot. Let me just say that, you know. But yeah, you can reach me through there.
Okay, now finishing up, did you want to give a shout out to anyone?
I would love to give a shout out to my dance company, Full Circle Soldiers. I would like to give a shout out to my husband, B-Boy Quickstep. And a shout out to my global dance family, especially the sisters out there dealing with some of the scandals that are happening right now in our scene. We're gonna create a safe atmosphere, and we're going to be able to heal and move forward beyond some of the scandals that have rocked our community. Trust me, 2021 is going to be better, and we're going to set the standard, a new standard for being in this dance family.
Now, do I have your permission to put this online?
You do. You have my permission to broadcast this.
All right, thank you.